Okay guys, I'm going to talk today about something from a distance here. Unfortunately, I can't be in the room with you now because of this craziness and my daughter being in direct contact with somebody who has COVID. But I can assure you that we're home, or that we're here and fine and 100% healthy at the Peterman residence. But anyway, I would much rather have this conversation with you guys in person. But I can't, but I can't, and we cannot delay this conversation any longer than what we already have. God, I got fucking hiccups. Anyway, big direction came down from Big Air Force that some of our annual training that we all receive every year is going to be handled in flight. And in order for that to happen, a bunch of us had to have some training to give you guys training. One of those things is suicide awareness. So I'm going to talk to you about suicide awareness today. But I'm going to dive a little bit deeper, actually a lot of bit deeper. And we're going to not only talk about awareness, but we're going to talk about prevention and intervention. Okay? So just to give you some background about myself, suicide is very near and dear to my heart. It's nothing that I fuck around with. It's something serious. I do say some stupid jokes, but I filter them appropriately. But suicide to me has been plentiful in my life, not just in my own head, but and I think a lot of us can relate. But I've dealt with suicide on a personal and interpersonal level many times in my life and career, going back as far as my best friend, one of my best friends growing up in high school. He's a childhood friend of mine, played a bunch of sports with him. We grew up together, went to school together. And my first home outside of my home, so when I first moved out of home at 17 years old, my friend Alan Miller moved out with me, and we got our first apartment together, and we lived together for 18 months. And he ended up taking his own life, and he was the closest person to me at the time. And to this day, we have no answer as to why Alan killed himself. Anybody who knows anybody who killed themselves, a lot of people will say, oh, we didn't expect it. He was the last person that we thought would do something like this. And that was very much the case with Alan. So I've dealt with it on that level. I've dealt with it on the level of people who are very close to me, who have had people very close to them. You know, my closest friend to this day, Nate Sobolewski, outside of my wife anyway, his sister committed suicide about 10 years ago, and it was a huge impact on his life. And so I was with him there in that. And then I've dealt with very close friends who wanted to commit suicide but didn't. So every layer of suicide I have been present for, to include my own self. I've had those same thoughts. It's been a long time since I have, but I definitely have. But I don't think that that's abnormal, to be honest with you. I think that we all have known somebody who's killed themselves, or has known somebody who's close to somebody who's killed themselves, or we've known somebody, if not our own selves, who've wanted to kill themselves and went through that dark phase in their life, and fortunately they didn't carry forward with it. But suicide touches everybody, almost like cancer does. We all know somebody who has had cancer, or we all know somebody who knows somebody who has. And I think you can say the same about suicide. So it's very real and present in all of our lives. Every person in this room, I'm assuming you guys are in a group right now, every person in this room is thinking in their head, yeah, he's right, I know somebody, or I know somebody who knows somebody. Or I myself did one time, or am right now, I don't know. But it affects all of us, okay? So pay attention, because it's present and it's real, and it's something that we need to get smart on, okay? So suicide awareness. Every year we get this training, how to pick out, or how to identify people who may have suicidal tendencies. Identify suicidal tendencies in others. That's suicide awareness. That's what we get taught every year. Identify suicidal tendencies in others. Okay? What does that look like? Well, there's a laundry list of reasons that goes on longer than what we all want to sit here and define, but I just want to point out and say, if this guy right here, Johnny, is thinking about suicide for whatever reason, okay, use your imagination. Let's say Johnny just lost his wife, or his dog died, or his dad died, or he has really bad finances, or he didn't get a promotion, or Johnny just got a DUI and he lost a stripe. Whatever the reason is, Johnny is suicidal and it ends right there. That's it. Who gives a fuck about the reasoning? It doesn't matter. It matters to Johnny and no one else. It doesn't matter to you what the reasoning is. You understand? It doesn't matter to you. Johnny is suicidal and it ends right there. Okay? And he exemplifies suicidal thoughts by saying, I'm suicidal, or we get the training that Johnny is going to start giving away his stuff, or Johnny's in a bad mood, or Johnny doesn't want to partake in social events, or Johnny is being stupid with his money, or Johnny is being very uncharacteristic. Okay, those are all great signs. Those are all absolutely things you need to be aware of. But the one thing that nobody probably ever told you in suicide awareness training is that the reason for Johnny's suicide may or may not have anything to do with you, and it probably doesn't. So what I need you to do is think about why you would think about suicide. What is it about you? What is it in your life that would need to transpire in order for you to think about suicide, whether it be serious or semi-serious? What is it that you would have to go through in your life to be in Johnny's position, regardless of why Johnny's here? What is it that would have to happen to you in order for you to be here? When you figure that out, I want you to put yourself in Johnny's shoes. Because why Johnny is here, it doesn't fucking matter. Be empathetic. Doesn't matter, okay? He might be suicidal because he didn't get accepted for a home loan and his finances are shit and he's $100,000 in debt and he can hardly afford to put gas in his car and feed his family after the 13th of the month, and he just tries to find a way for the next couple of days to survive until payday comes, and that's why he's suicidal. And you might be very financially responsible, or whatever, and not be able to relate to Johnny, but I don't ask you to relate to Johnny's experience. I ask you to put yourself in your own shoes that would cause you to think like Johnny. That's how I want you to relate, okay? Who cares about Johnny's problem? It doesn't matter. Johnny wants to kill himself. That's his problem, and now it's your problem. That's awareness. Put yourself in his shoes, whatever the fucking reason, okay? That kind of segues into the next thing that I want to talk about, and we're going to go into suicide prevention now. Something that we all learn every year are the 4 pillars of health, right? There's 5 pillars now, thanks to Chief Wright, and I absolutely agree with the 5th pillar, but until it's written in the books, there's 4 pillars of health. You have social, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And then you have, last but not least, financial. Okay, those are your 5 pillars of health. Right? Let's say your life is based upon these pillars, which it very much indeed is, and it has this shelter atop it that protects you from the shit. Shit comes down, storms come down, blah, 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 blah. And this roof right here that is supported by these pillars right here protects you from the shit. Well, when one of those pillars collapses, it is so easy for the other 4 to also collapse. Your roof comes down, and then the shit just lands on top of your head. And I'll show you an example, okay? 5 pillars of health, bam, got this rock solid foundation. Everything is awesome. I'm blocking out the shit, but then I make some stupid, irresponsible financial decisions, right? Okay, so this is my, if you can see my thumb, my financial pillar of health. All of a sudden, I let my financial pillar of health go to shit, and bam, it collapsed. Okay, now I got this roof. It's a little wobbly. It's still there. It's still protecting me from the shit, but it's a couple of thunderstorms away from being gone. So now my financial pillar of health is gone. That's going to affect the other 4 pillars. Let me show you. So now my group of friends are like, hey dude, let's go out. We're going to grab a drink after work, and then we're going to go see, you know, this comedy show and have dinner. Drop your kids off over here, pay the babysitter that. I already got a babysitter lined up. But you can't do that because your finances are to hell. So because you can't decompress with your friends socially, now your social pillar of health collapses. Now this roof is getting pretty wobbly, right? But it's still there, okay? But now, since your finances has gone to crap, your social life is starting to diminish, you're starting to feel pretty sorry for yourself, and emotionally, you're beginning to crumble. Bam! There goes your emotional pillar of health. And now your roof it's now become a lean-to, and your roof is hardly even being supported on the one side. Your emotional pillar collapsed, and now you're just binge eating, binge drinking, binge something physically unhealthy, and now your physical pillar collapsed because your emotional pillar collapsed, because your social pillar collapsed, because your financial pillar collapsed, and now you have the spiritual pillar, and that's usually the last to collapse, but it is hanging on by a thread, and it is so easy for any bit of a storm to come through your life, blow that rooftop off, and your spirituality is gone. It's happened to me 100 times, and I'm not gonna pretend like I don't know it hasn't happened to a lot of you. I know I've had a lot of conversations with you guys, and I pretty much know that I just explained a lot of dark shit that happened in all of your lives and mine. That's very real, it's reality, it happens a lot, and that is suicide prevention. Not only do we need to prevent suicide in our brothers and sisters and our neighbors and our leaders and our peers and our proteges and everyone around us, but we need to prevent suicide in ourselves, okay? How do we do that? Being smart on those 5 pillars of health. I can elaborate on those more if you would like. Please reach out. But the number one thing is hobbies. I believe, get yourself involved in a hobby that is outside, okay, outside of your normal day-to-day life. Something to be excited about other than your normal day-to-day life. I'm telling you right now, I am a man in my house. I am a husband to a beautiful, loving wife, and I am a father to 2 great kids. That is my life, that is my hobby, and those things get me more excited than anything else could ever get me excited for. But I get to do those things every day. Every day, that is the norm for me. Every day, I am the man of this house. Every day, I'm a father to Kaden and Kinley, and every day, I'm a loving husband to my awesome wife, Aubrey. That is the normal day-to-day life for me. But I think it is necessary to have a hobby outside of those normal day-to-day things that you do every day. Okay? For example, me, that's hunting and fishing, being outdoors, just driving in my truck down a lonely dirt road, golfing, even though I suck at it, shut up Cody, Eric, and Zach, I still have a good time even though I suck. But those things are hobbies to me and they help me to decompress, okay? Because all of us, everyone in this room, are being asked so much, and I don't know if you guys have ever gone home, sat down, and just thought about like, fuck, this is what I do. This is the shit that's being asked of me. We come to work and have all this weight put on us, okay? We, make no mistake about it, produce freedom for a living. Who else do you know outside of your brothers and sisters in uniform can say that? No one. I'll answer that question for you. Nobody. Your friends back home don't have the big boy, big girl job that you do. And because of what you do, we ask a lot of you, and all this weight comes down, okay? You're being held responsible for so much. Some of you guys sitting around here right now have never done your own laundry before, have never done your own dishes, have never gone grocery shopping, have never been away from mom and dad, have never had a big boy, big girl job, have never been out of your parents' home until you went to basic training. And now all of a sudden, you have all this weight on you to produce freedom. That's a lot of fucking weight. It is so easy for your pillars to collapse. It is so easy for you to become overstressed. It is so easy for you to be overwhelmed. But it's very hard for those things to happen if you have a hobby. If you have something to be excited about other than everything that you catch every day and you produce and you turn in a product and you say, next day, let's go, here you go, next day, and you have all this weight on you, you have to find a way to decompress. And decompress doesn't just mean take leave and be away from work, okay? If you ever take leave, okay, I'm gonna tell you this and I want you to think about it and never forget it. If you ever take leave and you leave work on that Friday afternoon, or whatever day it is before you actually take leave, in a bad mood, mad at the shop, mad at the office, mad at the job, you are only hurting yourself. Find a way to put yourself into a position that when you take leave and you say goodbye, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, leave on a high note. Leave on a place where you're like, I'm gonna miss these dudes, I'm gonna miss this job for a little bit, I'm gonna miss people coming to me going to people, me organizing, I'm gonna miss doing this, I'm gonna miss fixing that. If you don't leave on that kind of a note, and you leave on a, thank God I'm getting away from this hellhole. Fuck this place. If you leave with that attitude, that's the same attitude you're coming back to, okay? So you go on leave for 2 weeks, and on the Sunday night before you come back to work on Monday, you're like, oh my God, I gotta go back to the place I hated when I left 2 weeks ago. Don't do that. Don't do that. This job is a marriage, okay? And I have a very successful, happy marriage, and one thing that I do not do is say goodnight to my wife if we're mad at one another, okay? I don't go to bed at night pissed off at my wife, because if I did, I'd wake up pissed off at her. Don't leave your work pissed off, because you're gonna come back at it pissed off, okay? Get into a good relationship with your work so that when you come back, you're in a good relationship, you're in a good place. Okay, you're in a good place. So, let's talk about relationships, since that was the buzzwords I just dropped. We all have a relationship with somebody, with everybody. All these people sitting around us, all these people that we come in contact with every day, we have a relationship with. Whether that is a deep connection or a faint acquaintanceship. There is some kind of connection, some kind of relationship that we have with them. Okay, we're still talking about suicide prevention. So these people that we have a relationship with, we also have what's called an emotional bank account. And we make deposits and withdrawals from that account, okay? So for me, let's say something really bad transpires and I need to make a phone call to a dear friend at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so for me, let's say that's going to be Sergeant Ingebrigtsen. I'm going to call him at 2 o'clock in the morning because something happened with my family or whatever. And I only know that I'm going to call him and he's going to pick up the phone and be ready to fucking help me out because I have deposited enough into our relationship that I know that he knows that if he comes into something at 2 o'clock in the morning, he can call me without skipping a beat. Like, wake up and house is on fire and I need somebody to watch my kids and handle this mess. I'm gonna call Peterman. And he knows I'm gonna pick up that phone. And I know that he would do the same for me because I have deposited emotion into our relationship. So you make all these little deposits with the people around you. And one day, you're gonna have to make a withdrawal. Think of it like a checking account or an ATM, okay? If you go up to an ATM, to your bank, and you try to pull out money, but you never put money into there, you're not gonna be able to make a withdrawal. That's the same thing with mine and Sergeant Ingebrigtsen's relationship, and many others. There's many others. I'm just using Zach as a small example so you guys can relate. But think about that. If you don't make deposits, you can't make withdrawals. That's suicide prevention for your brother or your sister and for yourself. You have to make deposits in order to make withdrawals. Invest in the people that are around you. They are your family. Trust me. Okay. What else? So, we talked about awareness. We talked about prevention. Okay, 5 pillars of health, having a hobby, and emotional bank account deposits. So, I think prevention is probably the most important part of suicide awareness because that's where we all spend most of our time in. But the most crucial is suicide intervention. This is where a guy says, I'm going to kill myself. I want to kill myself. I wish to not be here anymore. Whatever, you get the idea. You have to intervene. You don't need some extensive training for that. You don't need to be some counselor, some doctor to intervene. Okay, you have to be somebody who makes a deposit. You have to have the fucking guts to make an emotional deposit and intervene. When a guy or gal says they want to kill themselves, the first and immediate thing you need to do is ask them, do you have a plan? What is your plan? And if they say, oh, I don't really have a plan, I just don't really want to be here, the threat level, more than likely, is lower than being up really high. I'm not saying it's low, forget about it, it's nothing. I'm just saying it's lower than being really high. If a guy doesn't have a plan, then you still need to intervene, right? You still need to help them get those 5 pillars of health, and you still need to deposit into that emotional bank account, okay? But when a guy says they have a plan, you need to ask, what is that plan? And you need to get them as far the fuck away from that plan as possible. So you say, dude, what's your plan? You're gonna shoot yourself with the shotgun under your bed? Shit. Go get the shotgun under their bed. Get them safe for now. Okay? If you get them safe for now, you might have saved their life for a day and then you cross bridges as you get to them. But get them safe for now, get the shotgun underneath the bed. If they say they're gonna, drown themselves, get them away from the river or bathtub, pool, whatever. Whatever their plan is, get them as far away from it as possible. That's getting them safe from now and get them to a mental health professional, okay? That is key to suicide intervention. You have to interrupt. Have the balls, have the guts to interrupt. I came across one of my closest friends who surprised us all and said he wanted to leave this earth. He had a great family, he had a great career, and it was a surprise to all of us. And to me, his reasoning was unjust. That goes all the way back to suicide awareness when I talked about Johnny might be suicide for this reason, and then it stops there. It doesn't matter what your reasoning, if you think this is stupid or not, he's suicidal, it stops there, we need to help there. Okay, so I went to his house, and he was just pretending like this was just, hey, come on over, I'm having a beer. Hey, come on over, I'm gonna kill myself. And I went to his house and he's like, hey, what up, dude, what are you doing? And he's literally painting on his garage wall his goodbye note, his suicidal note. He said, hey, shit, there's beer in the fridge. Just finishing up here. Don't touch the gun on the toolbox, it's loaded, hammer cocked, but I'll be done in just a second. Like, that's the atmosphere that I walked into. And I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, your wife and kids are inside. And in my mind, I was like, you're absolutely crazy. But it doesn't matter, because he's here, doesn't matter anything else. He's here, that's all that matters. So, the key is to know your people. You gotta know your people. We all have people, regardless of rank, shape, size, race, religion. We all have people. And I knew this dude well enough to where I said, hey, bro, you wanna kill yourself? Just pump the brakes, give it 6 months. And if you still wanna shoot yourself in the head, I'll pull the trigger. I'll do it for you. Now, I am not suggesting that you ever say that to somebody, but I knew this guy better than anybody else, and I knew he knew where I was coming from, and I knew that he knew what I meant. And he was very abrasive, whatever, but I didn't even touch the gun. I just said, hey, look, you want to kill yourself? Give it 6 months. Your life still sucks. I'll pull the trigger. What's 6 months? Who cares? You're going to be dead. Who cares, right? So he agreed, and it wasn't even 6 weeks later when he was like, dude, I just thank you. Like, I can't believe I was ever in that stage. Unbelievable. I'm so sorry. But in between the time that I told him I'd pull the trigger to the time that he said, I'm happy with my life, I made sure, I helped make sure that that period of time was filled with making the 5 pillars of health strong, and that he had a hobby and something to be excited about, and I reminded him of the things that he had to be excited about that were a part of his everyday life, such as being a man, being a son, being a brother, being a husband, being a father, being a capital A airman, all this stuff. But I never preached to him. I just made him feel those things. And not even 2 months later, he was like, dude, I can't believe I was thinking that. I'm so sorry. And I'm not gonna say time heals all wounds, because it doesn't. Time heals wounds if you apply ointment. That ointment is ensuring that you have a hobby, that you have these 5 pillars of health, that your cup, your heart is a measuring cup. Okay? This is pretty corny, but I think it'll paint a picture for all of us. Our heart is a measuring cup, right? And we have different things that fill up our cup with different substances. You know, for some of us it might be promoting, or getting an award, or buying a new car, getting approved on a new house, or having a new baby, or all these different things. What fills your heart? It's definitely different than what fills his heart. Just like what makes this guy want to commit suicide is different than what might make you want to commit suicide. It's all different. So don't judge anybody for what they fill their measuring cup with. Okay? just help them fucking fill it and make sure that you're filling yours. I am so sorry that I couldn't be having this conversation with you guys face to face. Like I said, this is very near and dear to my heart, and it's very important to me. And I know that we're never going to defeat suicide, but we can fucking punch it in the face. And I need your guys' help. And there's going to be a time, I promise you, every single one of you guys, every single one of you, where I'm going to need to make a withdrawal from you. So I hope you're there for me as much as what I can be there for you, as much as what the person sitting across the table can be there for you, as much as what you can be there for them. I love all of you, and I fucking mean that. I do. So thank you guys for listening to me. Ran on for about 30 minutes. There's plenty more that I wish I could say. I'm sure I just didn't say it, or I just forgot about it. I've never been told that I'm a man of few words. I will give you as much vocal as I possibly can until I run out of things to say, which is rare. And right now, I'm running out of things to say. I think I've told you everything I need to say about awareness, about prevention, and about intervention, okay? Intervention is the most crucial, but I think prevention is the most important. Just like what we do for a living, we think that maintenance is the most important. It's not. It's the most crucial. Something comes in, we gotta fix it, get the fuck out there, and launch a jet to go kick ass, take names, produce freedom. But the most important part of our job as 2 Alpha 6X2 technicians is preventative maintenance. That is the most important part of an Age Ranger's job, is preventative maintenance. Just like it is the most important part of our lives is suicidal prevention, okay? And that is the 5 pillars of health. Make sure you have a hobby. If you don't have one, get one. If you need to be recruited in one, I have more hobbies than what I should have. Ask Aubrey, she'll tell you all about it. Please reach out, and please don't be ashamed. I love all of you guys. I hope you have a good afternoon, morning, or whatever time of day it is, and I wish I could be there with you.